morning and welcome back to H4 Woodworks. In this week's video, we're going to talk about wood storage solutions and options. We'll start this video by talking about obviously my wood cart that I just built here, since this is primarily what most people want to focus on. And then we'll go up and start talking about some other wood options and solutions that I use in my shop that may help you out in yours. Now, I do want to throw a disclaimer out here before we get started. This is not a step-by-step build video. I did not video any part of me building this cart. I want to focus on the design and the build rather than trying to back and forth to editing and make sure I got the right shots. So I do want to throw that out there. I'm going to go over the dimensions, some ideas, some things that I used, maybe help you out in your design. I'll try to throw most of my measurements out for you, so that if you do want to just kind of jot them down as you go through the video, you can. Now, this design is from a Woodsmith design. I'll link down below, I'll link the plans in the video to the cart that I kind of got my general idea from. There was several things that I modified in this cart that's different from that cart, but that's where I got the general idea. Previously, I had a much larger wood storage cart in my old shop. That was of a Steve Ramsey design. It all worked great in the larger shop. I did realize that it was somewhat larger than I needed, and it definitely would not work in this shop. So we'll just go over some basic dimensions and materials. We'll start with talking about materials. Materials for this project, I used approximately two and a half pieces of 3/4 inch plywood. You could probably get away with 2. I could probably got away with 2, and I done a little bit better on my planning of my cuts. But I went with, there's a BC grade sheathing, 3/4 inch sheathing plywood for a couple of the pieces that's not really viewable. And then I went with this radia or sandy ply for things that are where you can see it a little bit more. Overall dimensions of this cart is approximately 31 inches wide, and that works great because the area that I'm standing in is where my workbench is typically stored away when not in use. And overall length of this cart is 48 inches. That gives me a fairly decent sized footprint to store stuff, but also kind of keeps it nice and compacted out of the way. It's broken up into a series of compartments. The back, we'll talk about the back compartment first. And this is for sheet goods or longer piece storage. It's an opening of about 5 1/4 inches wide and runs a full 48 lengths of the cart. It's got an open on each end with approximately 20 3/4 height backer board, and this allows any of these loose sheet goods to just be able to slide in and out and store back here nicely, and it doesn't really tip up or anything. There's a large backer board. We'll get to the 3 compartments in the center. They are 12 inches wide, or 12 inches wide front to back. And 2 of the compartments are 11 1/4 inches wide this way, so 12 by 11 1/4, and approximately 23 1/2 inches deep on all the back compartments. I left the center compartment, I believe in the Woodsmith plans, it actually shows 4 compartments back here, but I left and went with 3. And this center compartment is 22 1/2 wide, and I can store just kind of random miscellaneous items in here that doesn't really fit anywhere else in the area. Up front, I have 4 compartments, and these are much smaller. They're not really asymmetrical across the way, so mainly because I would run into being able to fasten screws, so they're a little off on different measurements. But all the compartments are again about 23 and a half in the back and approximately 11 or so in the front. This allows me to store things that I more readily access, some smaller items, smaller pieces of wood. I've got here a lot of just these smaller square cutoffs of hardwoods, some loose, just random cutoffs here. Some of my more exotic woods and hardwoods here, and then again, just some random cutoffs and whatnot. So up front, I use 3 of these dowel rods. These are about an inch and a quarter wide. In the Woodsmith plans, they show a metal pipe, 3/4 inch metal pipe that they've got running through, I believe 4 of those if I recall, that's running through to hold it. I didn't really see the sense of adding metal pipe. These dowel rods work perfectly fine. Just to open up some holes through these 3 dividers and then screwed it in on the end after I ran everything through and kind of locked it in place. Up top, I did add just some trim. This is 3/4 pine. I just stained it. Just kind of add some aesthetics to it. One of the things difference from the cart from the Woodsmith is they start up here, they kind of round it over. I like the more angled cut in this. Doesn't get as much in the way and easier to access for the front. But that's basically this cart. Again, total height of this is about 24 inches total height, not counting the little accent pieces and not counting the wheels. So you got 24 high, 31 wide, and 48 long. So that's it. It's fairly simple build. It's just a wood cart. It stores my cutoffs, what I need. Now we can talk about this, we'll go up and we'll talk about some of my other solutions here in a minute. So let's get my camera reset up so you can we'll continue to talk about other wood storage solutions and options that I use in my shop and that may help you in yours. But before we get started on that, I want to thank all of you who have liked and subscribed. If you do enjoy this type of content and you're not a subscriber, please feel free to do that. And also, please feel free to leave me comments. It helps immensely. Again, thank you. Now, we'll get to talking about the next part here. And this is going to be boar wood racks that I use here. I picked them up on Amazon a while back. They were on sale. And this area is where I store my longer pieces of wood. 6 feet and longer. Some larger slabs that I'm not using regularly. And just items that just kind of would be in the way down here lower. I can get them up out of the way when I don't need them. Below that, I have this small shelf. And here is some basic storage. I keep a bunch of these 1x8 tongue and groove boards that I had cutoffs left over from my barn door build. If you would like to see that, please, I'll add a link below. Go back to that. And these are, I can use these for something else. I'm not really sure yet if I need some different items. This container here holds a lot of smaller cutoff items that don't really fit down here, especially my hardwoods or exotics that I just can't part ways with. I try to keep them here. These 2 ammo cans is where I keep my turning blanks. This smaller ammo can is already pre-cut blanks for making pins, like I did in my last video. And then this ammo can keeps pre-cut blanks for things such as bottle stoppers or duck calls, stuff like that. So I try to just kind of keep these general area here focused down below for normal wood that I don't really use there. So that's really it. It's done me well for this shop. It's working great. I think it's going to continue to work great. So if you do, again, thank you all for your time. And if you do, please feel free to like and subscribe. And see you next time. Thanks a lot.